In this presentation, I will first of all present you the philosophical issue behind the movie I Am Sam. Second of all, I will explain you two different views on this problem. And third of all, I will draw on my own argument afterwards. So, the plot behind I Am Sam goes some sort of like this. This is the story of an autistic man whose daughter, Lucy, is taken away from him by the social services institution because it is assumed that he shouldn't be allowed to be parenting Lucy just due to her mental disability. I chose this movie because I have an autistic cousin, and because during December break I was down in Florida, and one day we were in one store, and then my cousin was trying to buy a book by himself, and then my mom goes like, "Oh, give me the money, I will buy it for you." And I go like, you shouldn't stop him from trying to do the things by his own. You should first see if he's able to do it, and then if he's not, then pay for him, you know? And then my mom goes, you know, he's autistic, he's not gonna be able to do it. And we had some sort of discussion with it. So I wanted to explore this topic and figure why people have this mentality already assumed. So that what is happening in this movie, in this society, is that the society is assuming that Sam is not a moral person. And that's why the laws shouldn't apply to him in the way that they apply to everyone else. Because, you know, no one is going to remove your child just because, unless you've already proven to be a bad parent. So, what is a moral person? Historically, philosophers have argued that a moral person is someone who has the ability to engage in virtuous acts. This is that you are conscious and you are able to discern what is good from what is bad, and that you can invest this with some sort of value to society, that you know that the consequences of your acts per se. So this is what is happening in the movie. Sam is assumed to lack this moral person. And this is what brings my question up. How can we determine if a mentally disabled people is a moral person or is not a moral person? So the two different views that I'm exploring. One of them is presented by Mark Alfaro. He proposes a thesis that explains that there is a triple relationship between three factors that define who has virtuous behavior or who has not virtuous behavior. So these three factors are the social environment, the asocial environment, and the age. But to illustrate this better, I will need a clever volunteer. Who wants to volunteer?
You said clever.
Sure. Okay, so imagine yourself in a situation in which, come here, I'm going to give you my iPhone 6. There. It's a new iPhone 6. You really want it. And then I leave it there. And I'm not going to come back for like a week. And the room is alone. And you really want the iPhone 6. The room is alone, no cameras out here. And then, you know, like, people have told me that you've stole other things before. So, what would you do?
Well, I'll take it, I guess.
So she has decided to take my iPhone 6. Okay, that's it. That's fine. And this is what Alfaro proposes. That the decision, and in this case, the virtue will be honesty per se. And the decision that the virtuous behavior of Ellie depends on the asocial environment, which is the non-people. So the fact that my phone was left there, that the phone was alone, there were no cameras in the room. And then the social environment, which is what people talk about you and say about you and expect about you. And you know, like, we were expecting her to steal it, and that's why she did it. And then the agent, who is the person who's going to engage in the virtuous behavior. But then, what happens in this is that Alfaro leaves little room for the agent to decide what to do. Another view is presented by another Mark, but this time is whose last name is Brown. And this thinker proposes the possibility of transitivity of potential, in which he proposes that a person can develop an ability even when he doesn't have it at that moment. So, for example, another guy, do you know how to speak French or write in French?
We. No.
No, you don't. But you know how to speak and write in English, and so you already have the potential because you know the letters and the way that writing and speaking should work. So you have the potential to speak French and develop it at some point. So last but not least, this is my own argument. What I'm trying to say is that we could mix both point of views and sort of try to identify if disabled people are moral or not moral person. And this is by defining if they can engage in virtuous behavior. Because Mark Alfaro is giving us a possibility to identify this, but also not only giving us the opportunity to determine this, but giving them the opportunity to develop this later on, to develop this personhood. And in the case of the movie, this is reflected with the consciousness that Sam, the protagonist, already has to be Lucy's dad. And it is reflected in one of the scenes in which he's afraid of making errors. But you know, any parent can make errors. And then he can develop if he doesn't have, he can develop any of these virtues as responsibility or honesty to be able to parent Lucy.